everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today we are going to be doing, at first I'm going to be showing you my speed painting of my warm-up pastel bunny that I was doing, and it was just a warm-up, just me getting back into it. And then right after that speed painting, we're going to go ahead and jump into a review of the different types of pastel pencils that are out there. It's not every single one of them. And this is just solely on my opinion on how I use them and what I think of them. Now, everybody is different, so this is just my opinion alone and just how I feel about them. But I wanted to share that with you guys. And everything that I'm doing is just something that, you know, that I do. It's not the only way to do them or use them. So, leaving that with an open mind, I'm going to jump into basically showing you guys some of the tools that I use, like the sharpeners that I use, the blending tools that I use, and just kind of show a little demonstration of that. But the main purpose of showing you this review of these pencils is just for somebody who maybe thinks that if you purchase a pencil, like a pastel pencil, that it may be the same as all the other pastel pencils, that maybe they think, you know, it might be the same type of thing. But in reality, there's actually, and with the different pastel pencils, there's different, like some are more softer than others, and so they are used a little bit differently than the other pastel pencils. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate that and show that for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump right into the speed painting, and so that way we can get to the fun part of the review. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in. We are doing the review of the different types of pastel pencils that I have, and they're going to be like the Carbothello, the Caran d'Ache, the Pit Faber-Castell Pit Pastels, and Derwent Pastels, along with the Cretacolor pastel pencils. So I'm going to be working with those. I've got here my little Hovel by Maker's Cabinet. It's by Maker's Cabinet, and it's the Hovel, Hovel sharpener that I use. I used to use like I've tried just like regular sharpeners, which this is a horrible example, but I've tried like regular sharpeners. I've tried automatic sharpeners. I got one and it worked really, really well. But then in the next like few weeks after using it with my pastels, it just dulled out really quick. And yes, I tried using like a graphite pencil, like a woodless one. I bought them just so that way I can stick them in there and try and sharpen them, but I had no luck with that neither. It was like it didn't work. And then it began to sharpen, and I started sharpening down all my graphite too and using those up, and it was like costing me more money. I could just see just dollar signs going out with sharpening graphite in order to sharpen my pencil sharpener, and if you can't sharpen it, then having to replace the blade. And it was just, to me, and this is my own personal opinion, it's just like me, it was just too much. Like I was just like I was almost to the point of just thinking, I've got to either figure this out, otherwise this is going to bother me too bad that I don't want to have to do pastels anymore. And it was just because of the sharpening stuff. I've tried everything, and then I was like, you know what, was thinking about just getting a blade and just doing it where you can just sharpen with a little blade. And so I started looking for that, but then I found the Hovel sharpener, and this one here, do believe there was another person on there, and I think the channel, like an artist, and I think it was the if you guys ever heard of him, the Art Gear Guide, I think he had that on there. And I was like, you know what, he was using it for his regular pencils, but then I started going through my head, I was like, that is what I could use or try for my actual pastel pencils. So I went ahead and looked into it, and it was a bit pricey. But then again, you look into buying like an automatic pencil sharpener, and those can get pricey too. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. And I fell in love with it. And here's the little blades. You can buy these, I think in the set. I actually found this. I'm not for sure if I ordered it directly off of, I think I ordered it. It could have been off the Maker's Cabinet. I got it directly off the Maker's Cabinet, or if there wasn't something like I found somewhere else, like maybe an eBay or Amazon or just something, I think I had that. But this little base is separate. So this here is sold separate. The little wooden thing, this one here is an extra cost. And I do believe, and I don't know, I didn't look at it recently, but at the time that I got it was like $15 US for just the little wooden thing here. And that's to hold all your pencil shavings. Or you could use this just the way it is to sharpen your pencils, like this, to just go over the top of it. Here, let me show you guys. So you could just do like, I'm gonna hold it the right way, which I don't really prefer this way. I'm not used to doing it this way. So you could just do that, which I don't really prefer. I gotta get it all off. And those are little tiny crumbs. But I usually prefer doing it this way, like holding it to where you sharpen like this. But whenever you have the little stand right here, you can actually set it and sharpen your pencil that way, which I do need. Like this one here, it's pretty, it's got something on there, but yeah, you would just take it and sharpen it like this, and as you sharpen it, you just roll it. And mostly whenever you're sharpening the wood away from the pastel. So you're not really sharpening the pastel, which means the blades are actually going to last a lot longer than any of the other blades in any kind of other pencil sharpener, is because you're sharpening more of the wood. You have more control and you're sharpening more of the wood than you are the pastel. So it's really handy. And then if you're like, okay, well, you know, you do that, but then you got a dull point. So what I do is after I get done doing that, which didn't take very long, I'll come back with a little sanding block and I'll hold it at more of an angle, like a more higher pitched angle or a more degree angle. And I'll just round it in a circle. Then I'll wipe off excess so I can show you guys that that right there is a point. And that's how I can get my detail or my smaller detail and get a sharper point by doing that. And it did not take long. I usually do that in the trash can. Okay, so in the blades, you can buy these separately, so you can always order more blades if you want. And I ordered, you know, a few of these. I think I got like 3 of them, and they're sets of 10. So you get 10 blades in these. Now, they do last a while. I think I bought them thinking that they would go through a little bit quicker, but they've actually lasted me quite a while. So I think I changed it out like 5 times. So there's like 5 blades in here, but see, they wrap them up in a little piece of paper and then you got your blades. So definitely, I think I bought me enough to last me a little while. They're really good blades. So let me stick them back in here so I don't lose them or get myself cut. I like those little containers. They're so nifty. They're so cute. They're little. Okay. And then if you were going to... Oh, I lost the blade. See what I'm saying? I'm going to hurt myself here. There we go. Got them. Okay. So let's put that back in there. All right. Cute little blades. Okay. So now let's just say your blade is dull, and you don't have to get out a screwdriver, because you know in regular sharpeners usually they have a little bitty screw that you would have to unscrew. Well, here, which you can see the name says Hovel, Hovel by Maker's Cabinet, and this is how you change out a blade. So they got this big screw where you can actually just unscrew it very easily. And then you've got this little magnet. It's kind of magnetic in a way. And see, there's your little blade. So when you're replacing it, it's magnetic. See, this magnetic. But you just stick your blade back in there. Just kind of get it even out. And then after that, see if I can get it evened out. Right there. Then you stick this in there. And then you screw it back. And just like that, you got your blade in there. There. And there you go. Just like that. You don't need no screwdriver, nothing. It is like perfect. And of course, if this gets full, then you just empty it out. So that happens to be my personal favorite for my pastels. I tried using them for my regular color pencils and stuff like that, which you can use them. They do work. It sharpens the wood and everything else, and you can save a lot of money that way because it sharpens the wood away from the actual the lead or anything like that, to where the pencil will last longer. So in my mind, I'm actually saving money by not chomping up all my pencils. I'm able to control how I sharpen them with this. So that's my understanding and how I feel about them. That's just something that I absolutely love and had to share it. I've been sharing it quite often, you know, because I love it. Definitely worth the price. Definitely. I would definitely do it again if I had to. Like, I wouldn't care if I saved up just every little penny. I would be like, I need that one, especially whenever I'm doing pastels. And here's another reason why. Is because like these Derwents, and I've had issues with these Derwents to where the inside of the pastel would just keep on breaking, or not really the inside, but it would just keep on breaking. And so I would sharpen them and I would try them and they would break and they would crumble. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost to the point where I don't want to use Derwent anymore. Like, I liked them, but I could not stand having to sharpen them, and then they get sharp and I try and use them and it just break. I mean, it was just, I was wondering what could be the reason why it's breaking. Or whenever I'm sharpening it, it would break inside the sharpener and I'd have to take my nail and just kind of slide out the little, thing that's in there, the pastel piece that was stuck. And so I got so tired of doing that. And my nails hated me for them. That's the reason why my nails look so bad. It's like, why would we want to do that if I'm going to stick my nail in a sharpener? Okay, so anyways, that's why I got this too. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it might work. Maybe it will put less strain on the inside of these softer pastels, especially like the Caran d'Ache. The Caran d'Ache is one of my softest pastel pencils, and they like to break too. So in a sharpener. So I went ahead and tried it out, and now my pastel pencils don't break on me whenever I'm sharpening them. Occasionally they might have an inside like where it broke because I maybe dropped it or anything like that, not due to the sharpening. But it was actually just the inside. Maybe something was broken there. Not necessarily, the Caran d'Ache only. But now that I can sharpen them, and I'm putting a little pressure, I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure. But yeah, I'm just sharpening the wood away from the pastel itself. So therefore, I'm not putting as much strain on that pastel center core. I'm not putting much strain on it at all. I'm basically just sharpening the wood away from it. So definitely nice. Love this. Okay, so now we got the other thing that I use, which I said I usually use the soft tools whenever I'm blending stuff out in larger areas or want to soften things, and that's SOFT, soft tool. Here's one of the little refills that you can get, and you just slide it on there. There we go. So there's your little soft tool, and I do use that for blending, of course, along with my favorite, the blending stumps. I like those. I can really push the pigment down into the paper by using those, and I can have a little bit more control of like little bitty details that I want to kind of blend, maybe just a little bit. And I got more control with using my blending stuff than I would try and use something that's a little bit chunkier. Now I do know that they have soft tools, and I do have them. They have different shapes in their soft tools. So you can get, let's see if I don't try and spill all this stuff out. I'll try not to. But they've got like the pointed one, an oval looking one, and then they got like a square one. So they do make some different ones. And of course they got the little ones like that. Or you could get these, which is a little handle. This is also by Soft Tool. And you can put the little, like one of these. It's definitely good. You can put one of these inside here. And that way you got an extension. So that way you're not so close. You can actually be a little bit further away to be able to blend. So your strokes could be a little bit more softer, like grass and stuff. So they have that. And then also I want to let you guys know I am not sponsored by any of these products that I'm showing you guys. So this is all just my opinion. So not sponsored. Just things that I like and that I've gathered over the years. So, and then they have, let's see here. Of course, they got these little blending things. You like it? You guys like that? I don't know the name of it. Blending sponge. There we go. Maybe a blending sponge. It's like a sponge that you can blend. So you got different points. And of course, they got the bigger one. So that way you got large areas of blending. And then these right here, which I don't know if that's actually by Soft Tool. I think it's just these. This in here I got in a different, I think they gave me these along with some of my blending stumps, paper stumps. So yeah. But yeah, that's what Soft Tools makes. They make quite a bit of different blending sponges. And they're all just like a sponge type of material anyway, because this is the same type of stuff made from the bigger ones, except that you can put them over this. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into showing you guys these pencils. So I'm going to start with a lighter color paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my white. Oops. Jeez, look at me. I went totally off the paper. Oops. It'll be all right. And I'm going to put some white. This is just white. This is actually pan pastels. So they come in these little dishes. They twist on top. And these here, if I were to use them, they're going to be usually used for my background, or I also use them as a underpainting. Like if you were doing just the underpainting and you put these down, this is what I would do. I would use these for. So anything you're trying to block in big areas, or starting your painting and you want to block it in before you start adding in your detail and fur and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, these pan pastels do come in handy, which I did not bring with me and did on that bunny. I did not use any pan pastels, and I will tell you the reason for that is because when I'm on my travels and I'm traveling at work, they end up like, if you're on the road, you know how the road is not smooth and it's really bumpy. Well, I've had a pan pastel and I had them in a soft like little thing. I thought it would be fine. Actually, I had it in its like pastel original box, like the box that folds that they come in, and they were packed pretty snug. And so then I had them, you know, in a soft little towel wrapped and everything. So I thought they would be okay. I was wrong. I guess the vibrations of the truck and just like the motor or whatever it is was just like duh, and I ended up with a powdery mess. Like it just exploded in my bag. And believe it or not, it actually, I guess some of them started to kind of untwist itself, because it was like not completely solid but sealed, but it was all over. It came out of that. So I was impressed, but then also disappointed, because breaks my heart whenever I see some of my stuff like broken, like as far as that stuff. It's like, no. But if it was like my pastel sticks, which I did have those and they broke, you know, and exploded, but I was like, it's okay, I can use the little sharp edges of the broken pieces and that's fine, you know. I'm not too hurt on that. But yeah, I didn't really care for my pan pastels to be like boosh, you know. I don't know. It'll be all right. It still is usable. So even if it happens to you, you can still use them. You can still put your little soft tool in there and still use them. So it has nothing to do with, oh no, it's ruined, I can't use it. It was just because, dang it, it was solid and it was brand new. And now it just went poof, you know. So that's my little story on why I do not take these out, or at least the pan pastels out while I'm out there. So let's go ahead and do an example. We're going to do, let me see here. I'm going to write these down. We're going to see what it looks like to use dark pencils, like the darker soft pastels, on top of this white. So we're going to do Caran d'Ache. So I'm going to put C for Caran d'Ache, which is going to be the softest one that I've got. The next one I'm going to put is Derwent. It's my next softest one. Then I'm going to put in Faber-Castell. Then we're going to do CA for Carbothello. And then create a color. So I'm going to put CR. Okay. So C, D, F, CA, CR. Okay. So here we're going to just try out some of these darker colors. Like if you had more of a white, this is just white, so, and this is brown. Just to kind of show you what it looks like. So that's the softest one. Here's another brown. Let's use it for Derwent. And that did very good. And see, the Caran d'Aches are kind of a hit and miss on this, because I have noticed that in the Caran d'Ache, they do have these little pieces of, it's almost like, it feels like a stone. It feels like a little bit, you know, what do they call it? Like, here I go with my words. I got a word and I want to use it, but I don't know what it is. I'm stuck. Okay. So, like a little pit in there, like a little rock pit or whatever it is, or something that didn't get grounded up enough, like the pigment didn't get grounded up enough. And you'll find that it'll feel like whenever you're putting in your color, sometimes you'll feel this scratch on it. And it's like, hold on one second. And then you run your fingernail across it, and sometimes you can find it and just kind of, you know, scratch it out. But they do have some issues with that. But yeah. Then I got my Derwent. I like my Derwent. I actually really do love those. And those are a soft pastel, or at least a softer one, but yet you can still get good details with these too. It's just, I love the coverage on them. They do really, really well. Now we're going to go ahead and do the Faber-Castell. So that came out very nice, and I love the Faber-Castell. So even though this is supposed to be one of the softer leads, you got Derwent as the next one, Faber-Castell a little bit harder, and then you got Carbothello. Yeah, I can use the black, it'll be fine. And then you have the Create a Color. So yeah, I mean, the colors really do stand out. This one here is like the softer one of the bunch, but you're almost looking at it thinking, okay, but the color is not coming out that good. And it actually feels like there's a pit stuck in there, but depending on how much pigment you got down is what you want to go by. Like if you got too much of the underpainting, or you put too much of the pigment in, then it's really hard to put another layer on top of it. Like, you can go with the softer one. Looks like the Faber-Castell is doing really good with that layering. But let's just say you did this. So we put that down. Now I'm not for sure how much I put down on the other, but if I take my little stick here and I kind of pushed some of this pigment into the paper, so let's say you're working on an animal or you're working on something and you want to put a layer on top, but first I would try blending in some of that, just kind of pushing it down into the paper. Okay, yeah, you can see that I kind of blended it out a little bit. I pushed the pigment into the paper. And let's just see if we come back on top with some of these darker colors. Let's do the first one, Caran d'Ache. Comes out very nice. Let's do the Derwent. And see, I can feel like when I'm working with the Caran d'Ache, even though it's like a softer pastel, but it just feels like there's just pieces of pit in it. And like, I don't know, it's kind of a catch-22 on these Caran d'Ache. Like, I can't say it's my favorite. I can't say it's my favorite pastel pencil because of that reason. Sometimes you'll pick up this one, but then you use a different one and it may be worse or better. And that one actually feels a lot softer, comes out a lot brighter. So it's hit and miss in my opinion. And then this one here just looks like it's struggling. Yeah, this is a light blue, but And that one feels a little bit softer too. So it's got, sometimes like even this brown, it could have just that feeling of something very hard in it, like little pits of like they didn't grind it up good enough or something, which causes it to do something like this when it should be like that. So let's try this. And see, this pigment looks a lot better than this one. And that's just because it just felt like there was something in this brown. So it's hit and miss on them. So just note, you could end up running to little bitty pits or little granules that haven't been processed. But that's why I usually, if I have that issue and I'm like struggling with the color and it just seems like there's something in it and it's not coming out right, then I'll jump over to my Derwent pastel pencil. And usually it gets the job done, and it does a very good job. It feels more drier, like whenever you're using it, it feels more drier, more of a chalkier feeling, but it blends out very nicely. While this one feels more, I don't know, like softer, but yet if you get one of these, it's like got those little pits in it, then you're, yeah. So it's hit and miss on these, but I definitely jump over to my Derwent. Now, if we go over to the Faber-Castell, these are like my favorite. I wish they had more colors in these. That's my only downfall about them. Like, I absolutely love them. The pigment in them is gorgeous. This pencil here, which they don't actually give the name on it, they do have a color code like 157. They show the star rating on them. This one here is my favorite pencil. I absolutely love Faber-Castell's pastel pencils. The only negative that I can tell you about these is that their lines of colors, they need more colors, basically. Like, they don't have an assortment like that's like bigger and branches out. It's kind of a limited palette. You still have some beautiful colors that they did put in it, but I just wish to see more colors in the Faber-Castell pastel pencils, because those are definitely nice. And it comes out nice and smooth. It's more a drier one. This one here is a little bit harder, little bit, and it's very, very slightly harder than the Derwent pastels, but they do have a very nice consistency, and you can get details with these because I can get a little fine point to be able to work in my details. Now, if you're wanting something that has a little bit more brighter, or like if you're wanting to add that pop to your painting, your pastel painting, I absolutely love the Carbothellos. Now, that's one reason why I love using them. I did some macaws and I found this blue, and I tried all different types of blues, like all different types. And this one here, and it doesn't give you the name of the pastel pencil, but they give you a number, 405. And this one here is a super bright blue. It is gorgeous. I absolutely love this one. This one here is more like a pinkish color. It is number 311. But yes, I love these. They are a little bit more of a thinner pencil. But yes, I would definitely give them thumbs up. They're kind of somewhat around the Faber-Castell in consistency between softness. But look at that blue. It's just a super nice bright blue that if you wanted to just add that pop and that punch to your painting. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to the Create a Color. I'm going to use a bright green. Now, Create a Color is it says here, Fine Art Pastel. It is from Australia. It actually gives you the name and then also the color number 83. So French green. This one's French green. And that's what I actually used that already on that one. So let's go ahead and grab a brown, like the sepia dark, number 19. And that comes out beautifully too. And see, by rubbing in the colors like this and just kind of pushing it into the paper, you're able to get more pigment on your paper. So That makes it easier for you to add more pigment to it than having to struggle like up here and trying to get it to come out. It just may be because you have too much pigment on the paper. You may need to use the blending stump and just kind of push it in. Or if you're needing to, like if you had that much pigment on a paper, then and you're just wanting to add some touches to it, then maybe using a soft pastel like our sticks that we were doing in our last video. You probably want to pick up maybe a Sennelier or even Unison or something like that, like a soft one that you'll be able to add extra detail or soften things out if you already got too much pigment on the paper that you can't put any more layers down. Either that, or you could just take like one of these kneaded erasers. I think I just broke my lid to this. I think I'm too mean to things. So then you can take this and you can just kind of lift off some of the pigment, which I do. I sometimes do this, like I'll lift off some of the pigment on the paper just a little bit. Sometimes I dab just so that way I don't ruin anything else by smearing it out, because it could be maybe just a small edge. And just by picking that up, then I can come on top with, you know, another color, and it's almost like using the paper itself. I mean, it comes out very nicely compared to if I did it over here. Well, still, I used a really nice color, but that one's much lighter than it is over here. So now let's see what these colors do if you were to use the darker colors, or the lighter colors, sorry. We were using some light, some dark in there too. But I'm wanting to put some dark, like put some black down. Do an ultimate test here. So here I'm just kind of trying to layer this in. I'm putting the pigment down quite a bit on this too. Okay. Let's make another one. Oops. See, I'm adding quite a bit of pigment to this. Why? Because I'm going to have one where it's not blended in. Make sure I get this good. We may have some pastel pencils that may not show up on this. Oops. No white. Okay, there we go. So I put quite a bit of pigment on this. Quite a bit. Okay, I think that's enough. Probably won't even be able to get a pencil to show up. Hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. Let's grab the light one. Oh wait, hold on. So this one we have up here that I did not blend and push down into the paper. So this one here, I'm going to push it down into the paper. All right, so we're gonna start. Let me see here. How did I do the other one? We did Caran d'Ache, C, Derwent, D, Faber-Castell, F, C, A, Carbothello, and then C, R. For create a color. You can put those all in. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do all like I do believe I have a light blue for each one of these, except for Carbothello. Where is, oh wait, no, I got Carbothello. Okay. I think I got the lightest blue. Now, Faber-Castell, this is basically like their lightest blue, I think, that they have. I mean, I didn't really have a super light blue, unless it was just not light fast, and I pulled it out based off of the indicators there for light fastness. But anyways, let's go ahead and try this out. This is supposed to be our softer one. Okay, so that's what the Caran d'Ache looks like. Now let's try it over here on the one that I blended in. And you can tell it shows up a little bit more blue and a little bit more consistent in color and not choppy and scrapey there. Let me go ahead and hold this up. Maybe you guys can see it a little bit better. But this one here has more of a choppy kind of bold, unbold, bold, unbold. And then this one here is more solid. I don't know. My camera looks a little blurry. Wow. Let me see if I can't. Maybe I touched the camera whenever I was doing it. Hopefully it wasn't blurry the whole time. I probably blew dust on it. There we go. Maybe. Yeah, it tries to focus. I think there's too much stuff, but you can kind of tell here where it goes from, you know, it's kind of streaky, while this one here is more consistent. So let's go ahead and jump on into the Derwent. Let's take the light blue. Like I know, this one here's got quite a bit of pigment on it. And look at it. You can tell that this one here, being the softer one, comes out a lot more than this one. That's because this one here is a little bit more of a harder lead or drier pastel than it is, well, a little bit more harder of a pastel than the Caran d'Ache. Now here's whenever you blend it in and blend it into the paper, works so much better. So it makes a big, big difference on how much pigment you have on top of your paper. Now let's go ahead and jump into the Faber-Castell. And see, I'm struggling with that one. Definitely struggling more than with these. Now note, this is a little bit more of a darker blue, or like a brighter blue, but still, nonetheless, look what happens whenever you actually blend it in. Okay, now we're going to go to the Carbothello. Ooh, surprising. That one came out really good on both sides. So this side over here is about the same consistency. The only difference that I can see between this one and this one, having a lot of pigment on it, is you got a lot of streakiness, a little bit more of an unevenness right in this area here. It looks a little bit streaky, while this one here is very even. So it's evenly distributed. And last but not least, our Create Color. This one's this blue here is a little bit, looks a little similar to the Faber-Castell. Let's see how it goes. Try and get it over here. Okay, so it still comes out really good. And of course it comes out better with the blended out one. So yeah, definitely different. This one here turned out brighter than this one. So yeah, it makes a world of difference down here. If you look at just all these colors compared to up here, and noticing that if you keep adding pigment on your paper, and you're not pushing any of that pigment into the paper or blending it out, and you start stockpiling a bunch of your pigment down on the paper, and then you decide, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add my detail, add my fur, whatever it is that you're doing, and you go on top of it, you're going to have some inconsistencies. You may even struggle a little bit like this Derwent, or you know, you may struggle trying to get any kind of mark to come up. There has been times where you just mark on the paper and there's nothing. You know, you may have left a trail of, hey, I just made a scratch mark through a bunch of pigment, but you're not going to have no color lay down on the paper. So if you were to take it and just kind of either lift it up some of the color with this, which a sticky kneaded eraser gum, I don't know. Yeah, kneadable eraser. I cheated. I just read. But if you use that to kind of pick up some of the pigment, the excess pigment that you have on your paper in the area that you're wanting to add your detail, then you're able to lay down these colors and they come out like this. They come out nice and bold and it looks so much better. So just keep in mind that just because a pencil doesn't lay down on something and you're wondering what's wrong with the pencil, it may just be because you have way too much pigment on your paper already in the first place, and you may have to lift some of that up before you apply your pencils for detail. So just be very careful and mindful of that. Yeah, so pretty much in the order that I got these in, I really do think if I were to choose one, oh my God, this is going to be hard. I don't even know why I'm even saying this. This is a hard thing to say. If I were just to choose one pastel pencil that would be my favorite, I'm not for sure. That would be really hard. So let's go ahead and say if I had a choice to pick out two pastel pencils that I absolutely love, like brand wise, consistency, everything, my choices would be, drum roll, Faber-Castell and the Derwent pastel pencils. Yeah, those are my favorite. Even though my third best would probably be the Carbothellos. I would have to throw those in there. I absolutely love my Carbothellos. I just have a very small range. I never did get the full set. So I think I only got like 24 pencils, and maybe that's the reason why I'm like, oh, there's not too many colors. But then again, Faber-Castell didn't have as many pastel colors neither, and they're still my top two. If I had a top three, I would definitely throw in my Carbothellos. For, I don't know, I still need more practice, or at least more, I don't know if I should say practice, but more using the Create a Color ones. Like, I want to use these more to give my opinion a little bit better. Because at first, whenever I first used them, I used them twice and occasionally pick them up whenever I got them. And it just felt like they were just too hard, or they just weren't coming out the color I was wanting, or whatever the deal may be. And so I haven't really experimented and used these as much as I did like my Caran d'Ache over here. Now, so I'm not for sure if it could be a close contender, because by the way it looks with the pigment and how it's layering down, it could be a close contender to my Caran d'Ache without the pits in them, like the rock pits that these can have in them. So I don't know. I think between those two, I think they might have a tie on those. I'm not for sure. Right now, since I wasn't for sure, I'd be like Caran d'Ache, I'd go with those. But I can't really say for sure by doing these samples on this test paper. I'm almost thinking they're a really close competitor as far as it's coming out with very nicely with a lot of pigment on the paper, while the Caran d'Ache is kind of scratchy and uneven. So I don't know. Those are definitely a tie. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you guys are new to my channel, please click the like and subscribe. That definitely helps me out so much. If you guys have already been on my channel, thank you so much for coming back and watching me. I enjoy each and every one of you being here. I'm so excited about this channel growing. So yes, definitely keep it up. And until next time, we'll be working on a flamingo in pastel. It's going to be a bigger one, like a 16 by 20. So that one's going to be really fun to kind of lug around. But anyways, I'll see you all next week. Bye. I lost my mouse. Where'd it go? All right. Bye, you guys.